everybody, it's Romania Black, and we're starting a new show today. One show that has been highly recommended for many months over on my Patreon, and that is Lord of the Mysteries. So if you are new to my channel, hi, I'm Romania Black. During the day, I am an English teacher as well as a speech coach, and by night, I relive my childhood nostalgic days of looking at anime, manga, donghua, etc., and I react and discuss in great detail all the shows that are on my channel, which you can go see on my YouTube, and you can also go support me on Patreon. But speaking of Patreon, I usually have polls to decide what I am going to watch. I've been doing this for about 5 years now, and for the last year or so, people have kept bringing up Lord of the Mysteries, and I was like, look, it's been on the polls, it got narrowly beat out several times, and finally it tied with another series on my channel, and my philanthropy tier over on Patreon, they get to do tiebreaker poll results. And so they did a poll, and this one won. So we are finally ready to dive in. My moderator has sent me a copy of Lord of the Mysteries, so I'm super excited about that. I have not opened it, not cracked it open a whip. If you are new to my channel, then you need to know that I like to react to series blind. I go in knowing as little as possible and then just going from there. So I did though. With this being such a highly anticipated series, I also have 2 corgis, one of which demands that I throw this ball throughout my videos sometimes, so you'll have to deal with him. His name is Huckleberry. You can give him your regards down below. I have had people explain that this series is rather a complex one, but it's a donghua. All donghwas are complex. So as this series won the poll, Be Happy, the moderator for this channel, who is a huge Lord of the Mysteries fan, they were like, okay, look, we need to break down what you're going to be doing each week with this show. And I was all ears saying, all right, let me know. So they explained that with each episode, which is on Crunchyroll, they went back and checked the subtitles. They said the subtitles had been updated. They were a lot better than they originally were. Apparently they were a little crunchy on Crunchyroll previously, but now they're fine. And they said that there were the 13 episodes this season over on Crunchyroll. And they also said that there are 2 different chibi series. Now, one chibi series, they said, or one set of shorts, maybe not necessarily the chibi series. One set of shorts has a name. I am not ready to know that name yet because it is a spoiler. So they said that you'll find out when it happens. But the others is a set of chibi series that needs to be watched in relation to some episodes. So if this already sounds complicated, it is. And my mind has been wrapping around it the last few weeks as I've been gearing up to start this series. So before I go any further, please thank the moderators, Be Happy, as well as Sunspots, the fellow patron who has helped Be Happy to organize all of this for me. I like things being streamlined and simple because everything else in my life is not simple. And so they were like, we're going to make this as painless for you as possible. So today, for example, I am going to be watching episode 1, and I'm going to be watching the very first chibi episode immediately after it. That's what they have for me this week. They have organized every week for specific episodes, any shorts that I should watch afterwards before we get to the discussion. I feel very privileged to have 2 people helping me organize all of this content because Lord knows, donghua likes to have lots of add-ons. I've watched Link Click, I've looked at MXTX's works, I've watched Word of Honor, I'm working on Thousand Autumns now. Yep, there's lots of adaptations out there, so I'm kind of used to it with the donghua scene. But anyway, so Lord of Mysteries. The one thing that a couple things I was told before we start. The moderator, Be Happy, said, here are some basic production informations to have about the show before you start. Not the plot, of course. It says, this is based on one of the most popular Chinese novels in the last decade by a lot of these Danmai and a lot of these Chinese novels. The authors have such complicated names. They're called Cuttlefish That Loves Diving, or Cuttlefish for short. I kind of love that. So yes, and it even says Cuttlefish That Loves Diving is the author's name on here, which is super awesome. I also appreciate that there is no back spoiler paragraph, so I can look at the back of it and not be spoiled. Great. Also, the production company and studio has confirmed that the adaptation of the rest of the novel, an OVA of 3 episodes, will air on June 20th, and season 2 is confirmed for 2027. So what an opportune time to watch the series, right? Now, I had some questions before we started about why this novel says Lord of Mysteries when it is also called Lord of the Mysteries. And people are very adamant about one way or the other. So Patron's Tiny Truck, as well as Zero Anti-Zero, tried to break it down for me before we start. Tiny Truck says about the Lord of Mysteries versus Lord of the Mysteries localization difference. It was originally translated as Lord of the Mysteries on the official web novel app and fan translations. But when they started to print out the physical copy releases in English and the Donghua came out, it was changed into Lord of Mysteries, as that was more correct. Or something went along those lines. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure about the reason for that change. And then Zero Anti-Zero said, finally, in response to your question about the Lord of the Mysteries, the Chinese languages, Mandarin plus others, do not have formal grammatical articles, whereas English does. It's up to a translator to contextualize the original and see if an article needs to be inserted, like Ace of the Diamond, and different translators can reach a different conclusion, which I have reacted to Ace of the Diamond on my channel, and in some localizations, they do just say Ace of Diamond. Now, the English teacher in me is like, I really want that article because it is the Ace of the Diamond. So we are looking at the Lord of the Mysteries. So, but you know, if the language doesn't have the article, then what can we do? So there we go. But yeah, I am super excited, y'all. I know I've spent about 6.5 minutes talking to y'all to preface this, but this series has been recommended for so long and I want to do it justice. Also, one final thing I have noticed before we dive in, I'm pretty sure that this is the same animation studio. Just pulling up the thumbnail, I'm pretty sure it's the same animation studio as Modao Zushi. And y'all know, if you've watched my channel, how much I love Modao Zushi's Donghua. So if that is the case, I'm going to be a very happy Romania. So anyway, I go in blind. I'm going to do reactions. If you've never watched my channel before, then please note that down below in the description will be the reaction link. Go to that link, watch the reaction, and then we'll come back up here and we will break it down bit by bit and talk about it, right? So with that being said, let's do that. I think the craziest notion that I have been told about this series is that there is no OP, which I am used to Donmai and Donghua having like 2-minute long OPs. So the fact that this episode is 34 minutes without an OP is wild to me. But I have been told that the ED is safe to look at, so that's really good to know. So anyway, we will have one short to watch that will be in the reaction before this. I will try to throw this ball once to my dog, tell him to go lay down, and then not throw it again. He's going to be mad at me. But also, we are watching the original Chinese language track because I love watching the original language track with English subtitles. If the English dub is good, I will go back and watch it in my own time, but I like seeing the original language track and translation. So with that being said, we are going to start Lord of the Mysteries, episode 1. Y'all have no clue how excited I am. And we're going to see what this is all about here in 3, 2, 1. And let's do it to it. So never before have I been so grateful that this is not my first isekai. What? So thank God if you are new to me on this channel and you were like, I wonder if Romania has ever watched an isekai before. I've watched one. And it was, I don't want to say the title of it because I don't want to give away that it's an isekai, but you find out in the first episode of it, so I guess it's not too much of a spoiler. I did watch a Donghua and then read the novel for a series by MXTX that involves isekai, and that was my first foray into that genre. So I'm very happy that I did that because now I was like, oh, okay, so our main guy, Zhou, has isekai'd himself into Klein's body. Cool. So this episode was like, they just said, have fun. There is a lot going on. There is a lot going on. I did think about this as I was finishing up the Chibi series before starting this, before getting... by the way, if you are also new to my channel, this is Whiteboard Coon. Whiteboard Coon is my explainer of all things. He has been by my side for nearly 5 years. I bring him out in reactions and discussions when I feel we need to break things down. And I have a feeling that Whiteboard Coon is going to be taking up permanent residency in the Lord of the Mysteries section because we're going to have to break a lot of stuff down. But I did wonder if you all will have to comment down below, I may actually ask the moderator about this, if it would be worth it for me to read in my off time the amount of pages that correspond with the episodes, and then read them and see if anything was left out, or talk about them with you in the intros of the following episodes, or how that would work. I don't know. Or if, you know, what I should do with this. I would like to read the novel, but I don't know if it would make sense for me to read it like in between the weeks when I'm not recording for the series, because this is going to be every other Saturday until I'm caught up. So I do think it's appropriate. This first part is called The Clown, not the Fool, the Clown. That damn clown we saw in this episode, I told you he's going to come back. That clown is creepy, and they would not introduce a creepy character like that unless he's going to come back. So we'll see about that with The Clown Part 1. We'll see about that. So we're going to break down this episode and just go through it and try to make sense of it all, and then just prepare for next week. That seems like the most appropriate thing to do. I did like the ED a lot. The animation I'm going to talk about very quickly. It's amazing. I really like Modao Zushi. Modao Zushi is by, I believe, the same animation studio. It has the same style. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Absolutely gorgeous. There are parts of this first episode that was cinematic. I thought that the shadowing, the light, the colors, it's steampunk, it's creepy, it's grisly. It's like everything I wanted. And it's just the same. Like, I love the animation style for Modao Zushi and for this series. Like, everyone's faces are expressive. They have huge eyes. I just really like it. So it looks gorgeous. Everything in this episode is really well done. A little confusing, but it's intended to be that way. So let's break this episode down, because I'm going to pull this up here with you all, and we'll have some screenshots that you can see side by side with me here in 3, 2, 1, because Romania is going to try to make some sense of this all with you. Now, I will say this. There's going to be parts that Romania does not get correct, and if I don't get stuff correct, that's okay. I am someone that likes to figure out as I go. If I get something wrong, there's a very good chance that I will figure it out as we go. But you are welcome to comment down below. But just, if I get something wrong and you want to correct me, please put a spoiler tag in, like do like Romania Don't Read, save some lines, and then be like, she's wrong about this. This is what it actually is. And then y'all can discuss down below. So, and that would be great. That way I'm not spoiled. Although my moderators will help me through this. Okay. So they do give us some information at the very beginning. I love that we have this tree with the roots coming out of it. So we have this concept. We're going to do our little concepts up here, that by drinking potions, humans can attain the power of beyonders. So by drinking potions, they get these supernatural powers of these beings called beyonders, which kind of seems like where he went to when he was in the fog talking to the man and the woman from the ship, but we'll see. But yeah, by drinking potions, they get these powers of beyonders and ascend to divinity. And then they ascend to divinity. Okay, so that seems like a good thing, perhaps. So the 22 pathways, I like there's all these pathways of this tree. So there are 22 pathways. Now, they say the weakest is sequence 9. Why that's the weakest and not sequence 1 through 8, I don't know yet. But we'll say that sequence 9 is the weakest. And that's where you start. Clear as mud, right? I'm sure the story will explain it as we get further. They begin with the weakest, sequence 9. Maybe it's like Mistress 9 from Sailor Moon. The lower the sequence number, the stronger the beyonder abilities. Okay, so weakest is the 9. So maybe there's only 9 sequences, but there's 22 pathways. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. So basically 8 to 1 means you get stronger as you go. Okay. Maybe there's just 22 paths. It's like, okay, so on the tree here, there's 9 different ways to get to, there's 9 sequences, and there's 22 different ways to get there. Through them all. Maybe, possibly. We shall see. Okay. And then it says, strong beyonders of the high level sequences say can wield powers strong enough to rival the gods. This path of evolution is called the path of the divine. So this is called path of the divine. And basically, the stronger the number of Beyonder you are in sequence, the more godlike you become. Okay, how you get through those sequences, how you rise the ranks, we've not been told yet, but that's okay. That's what we're going to find out. It feels like there are 3 different stories going on at the same time, which is kind of crazy. The first story is the one that matters the least, and that is Zhou's OG life, where the Chibi Short showed us his OG life, which is basically he was living the corporate 9 to 5, didn't have great luck, lost his phone in the puddle, got handed a good luck ritual from a very shady man who probably didn't know what he had. It's like the plot of Gremlins. And so he took the good luck ritual home, and then when he was at the lowest of his lows as a Gen Z struggling kid, he used the ritual and it transmigrated him into this world, into this parallel universe, because that's usually how those transmigration stories go, as you know. So yeah, so that world is the one we visit the least, although he still has memories of it, so that's good. But we have 2 basic worlds that are going on here. We have Klein's world, which we will establish what's going on in Klein's world, and then we have this crazy fog world where Zhou has set up residence as the quote-unquote the fool, where he is also he's connecting with people in a similar situation that he was and tricking them. Basically tricking them into thinking he's a god, thinking he's a Beyonder. That's what they think he is. They think that he has these magical powers like a Beyonder, and this world is like some dimension that he's created through his powers, which, where that storyline leads us to, I don't know, but we will talk a little bit more about that. But yeah, the studio that does this has such a way with gore. The atmosphere, the steampunk, the Victorian Gothicness of it all. It's more steampunk than Gothic, but I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Also, it's so weird in a Donghua to hear someone called Melissa. I've been used to reading Donghua and watching them and going Zhou and Liu and all this, and now it's like Melissa. It's Melissa to me is the most Western name, right? So, okay. But yeah, so we have this intro. Let's talk about this intro. So, okay. So let's bring up this. It's the 5th epoch, the Iron Age. So, okay. We have what's brought up here, 5th epoch. And it's the Iron Age. I'm going to get all our stuff on here. Iron Age, and it is 1349. Okay. So, let's see. They talked about 4th epochs in here. So, Tengen City Doomsday. What the hell is that? So, Tengen City is kind of where we are, aren't we? Tengen City Doomsday. What happens in this Doomsday, mind you? So in this Doomsday, we have all of these creepy spirits that look like they're babies in a body. And then we see this woman, that she's pregnant on this table. Is she pregnant with demon babies? What is going on? Looks like she is. What is happening? Yeah. Ew. No. Why? Gross. The world is a falsehood. So who be this? Okay, this is him. Chaos is constant and eternal. So, okay, in the 5th epoch, we see Klein. We see Klein fighting, I'm just going to put pregnant demon woman. We see that. Okay, chaos is a constant and eternal. And yeah, he's facing this creepy woman. The supreme being bestows blessings. Okay. I'm trying to through depravity. Filth. And he throws these tarot cards. Okay. This feels like the future. Okay, this feels like the future where he's using tarot cards as throwing stars. This feels like the future, right? We've done the past, the present, and the future. And darkness. Interesting. Okay. So then he gets killed. He gets struck through by this. Faint struggles in futility. And as he falls, all the cards fall, never to awaken. Carrying the sin of blasphemy. The shepherd crawls with devotion. Yeah, that's creepy as hell. Nope. I'll offer you all the sacrificial lambs in order to welcome. This feels like your divine descent. Now, it's dissension instead of ascension, so I don't know if there's something to do with that, but this felt like the game over in a game. Like he was playing a game and he lost. So this one resulted in like a game over. So what do we do with that? And then we have episode 1, The Fool. So this happens and we see this airplane flying through the air and everything goes upside down and our boy Joe transmigrates from his homeworld down into what looks like, he says, it hurts. And then it seems like I wonder if he's transmigrated before and doesn't remember it, and if the stuff from the very beginning is like going to be something we see in the future, and maybe we just haven't been. Maybe what we saw with him in the whole game over scenario, where he was like ran through by the guts of whatever that thing was. Maybe that is a preview of what's going to happen in like episode 2 or 3, and he's not going to end up dying. But now we're flashing back to when he first transmigrated to where he is now. I do love this concept of like the veil, like between worlds. And then he's like, what? That is also really creepy. The idea that he like gets busted apart and taken apart like into the guts that we just saw from the woman. That is crazy. Also, if that is how transmigration works, that's so disturbing that you just like get completely rewritten. Ew, nope, don't like that. Personally, not a fan. And then he gets into Klein. He gets transmigrated into Klein, who has shot himself. Now, yeah, who shot himself in the head. Although here's the thing. There's blood like on the floor there as well as on the lamp. So was he around? The question remains. Then he goes to where Klein is. And the question remains, was he privy to, or was he also in the place of the deaths of the other two? Now, he does bring up a really good point, which I think is going to have to come into play at some point in all of this. Melissa didn't hear the gunshot, or if she did, she acts like she didn't, and she seems blissfully unaware about the Welch's deaths. So, is she involved and we just don't know it yet? So now we're on 2 months prior. Okay, cool. So we've gone back to 2 months earlier. Okay, so we are going to build up to that fight against a pregnant spider lady that's creepy. We're going to build up to that. Right now, we are at June 28th. Okay. June 28th of 1349. Interesting. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. My dog demands. He's like, I was quiet during the whole reaction. So now you have to throw this. Also, I like the fact that they established there's just this like giant blood moon the entire time. Creepy. Okay. So also creepy is the blood. The revolver, the blood on his hands. Yeah. And that's when he realizes, he's like, it hurts. Yeah. The idea of waking up and you have a bullet hole in your head is crazy. So he sees himself, realizes that he's called Klein. He's like, I've transmigrated. Okay, meanwhile, as he's figuring out and he's repairing his brain cells and realizing who he is, him and Melissa in their room, we cut to the outside where there are two other people who have mysteriously died. And Melissa and him seem none the wiser. The question remains, how involved was he in all of this? And what have we got going on here? So yeah, the police show up. They see what's going on. They find the body. There's books everywhere. And they establish there are two deceased, Welch and Naya. Okay, who look like they've been shot. So we have Welch and Naya, who are dead. We don't know the circumstances of how they died. We just know they are dead. But they are, okay, what does it say here? It says, yeah, Welch and Naya. And it shows they were history graduates from Coy University. Okay, and there's Klein with them. So they were also history grads alongside Klein. Okay, so Klein, here's the thing. If Klein is a history graduate, that means he probably has a lot of knowledge about the city. It is just, convenient to the plot that he's transmigrated into Klein's body and now Klein doesn't have those memories at the moment. Conveniently. But yeah, judging from the scene, it was suicide. But black divination was likely performed here. So we see Dunn Smith, and we also see Leonard, handsomest Leonard, like the ruffles, the pirate look, the long hair, the green eyes. Swoon! That's literally me and Leonard. I'm like swooning for Leonard. So he looks like he shot himself in the head. She looks like she drowned herself in like a tub that she was using for divinity. So the question is, it looks like they were doing maybe some rituals that might be some dark voodoo stuff that they shouldn't have been doing, and it didn't work out. Now, they're friends with Klein, so again, the question remains, how involved was Klein? Or perhaps a Beyonder was sacrificed. So I like Dunsmith's character so much. I really like him so far. I like the duality of Dunn seems very no nonsense and very straightforward, straight-laced, by the book. I don't know, Leonard gives sexy vibes, which is, not that Dunn's not sexy, he is, but Leonard gives it in a more like loose vibe. So I am going to be curious. They talked about the idea of sacrificing Beyonders, who are people that have drank potions to get closer to divinity. So maybe it's kind of like one of those things where if you find a Beyonder and you sacrifice them, you can take the powers from them. Maybe we might find out some kind of evil power has descended here. Yeah. And then there's Klein. Interesting. So that's interesting. You have to pay to use the lantern. That's interesting. Klein Moretti, a classmate of the deceased. Both his parents are deceased and he lives with his siblings. I want to go back to that picture. So let me see here. Go back to that picture of him and his siblings because it looks like... Okay, so there is a guy that is with them. So he has a brother too. Okay, so he has a sister and a brother. So the sister... We'll put her here. The sister is Melissa. And the brother, we have no clue about. I don't even know if Joe, as Klein, knows about the brother. I don't know if he's been paying that much attention. But yeah, a citizen of Tingen City of Awa County. A fresh history graduate, proficient in ancient Fasak and Hermes. Okay. May 29th, Welsh came to see me. Okay, so we're going back through the diaries. I do, again, like that Klein is a history major. So we can trace this back to a month ago. So a month ago, May 29th, because it's June 28th in here, we have Welsh showing up. So Welsh showed up a month prior to see him. And then he said he claimed to have come across an ancient notebook. There's your first mistake right there. Hey, bro, it's a long time no see, post-grad school. So found this ancient artifact, probably not cursed, probably not having any ancient demonic energy involved. Want to come over and have a seance? So he found an ancient notebook. And it also kind of makes sense. I think it's clever of the writer to say that they're history majors because any normal person, when they were find this crazy notebook, they're like, nope, I've seen horror movies before. But in this case, they're history majors. So it's an ancient artifact. It probably has a lot of value. Okay, so on the 20th of June, almost a month later, a week ago. And so they found the ancient notebook. And then on June 20th, they deciphered the first page. So we can pretty much gather, just by going along with this, that Klein went there that night, was with them when they were deciphering it. We deciphered the first page. My goddess. This is a notebook from the fourth epoch. Okay, the writer hailed from the Antigonus family. Okay, so this is something from an epoch ago, in the fourth epoch, and it is from the Antigonus family. Now, who is the Antigonus family? Why are they important? Are they royalty? We need to pay close attention. June 21st, 22nd, and 25th, Antigonus. Okay. The Black Emperor, the Tudor Empire. Okay, so we have a Black Emperor, Tudor Empire. What are we going to get on this? All right, getting that. Say the summit of the Horatius mountain range. June 26th. Are all these strange things real? At that point, that feels very 7 days. And at that point, you should be like, stop reading. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't decipher anymore. Leave it alone. Seems like it could be cursing you. Don't do it. So are these things real? Are these strange things real? Nope. That almost seems too like something was maybe causing hallucinations or something creepy. But then they skip the 27th. There's no entry from the 27th, supposedly. And it says the 28th. The bloody handprint. In Hermes language. Everyone will die. Including me. So, the question is, did Klein and Welch and Naya realize that they have unleashed something they should not have and that it's going to kill everyone, and Klein, out of fear, decided to shoot himself to keep from experiencing that? Which we don't know a lot about Klein's character. It seems like that would be a horrible thing to do, especially when you have a little sister literally living in the same house as you. Why wouldn't you protect your sister? But here's the thing. We only experience Klein as through Joe. We are experiencing Klein's character as Joe. We are not experiencing Klein's character as he actually is. So he might be an absolute coward. And maybe Melissa, that's why she's so weird around him. Because she realizes something's off and he's not acting his normal self, right? So she's a tech school student and he's like, oh, I'm just warming up. I just cleaned up a bit. So she's kind of curious about his character. We don't know about the other brother, unless the other brother is dead. I do like the idea that his pocket watch doesn't work. I'm watching another series on my channel now, and usually when the pocket watch doesn't work, it's like a symbol of that character dying, and technically, our boy Klein already has died, so it's a nice little nod to that. But yeah, so he's like, does she think I'm an idiot? Maybe he is. The wound's almost healed up. So, our boy Joe acknowledges that a lot of details are missing, and he's like, how did I transmigrate here? I was just down on my luck, and I used this spell, that's all. This luck enhancement ritual before dinner, and now I'm stuck here. Here's the thing. I feel like our poor boy is going to be stuck here for quite a while, like the whole series. He's trapped here and he can't get out, right? This series kind of has like a, Dorothy Gale in Wizard of Oz gets transported to Oz. But this kind of has like a Return to Oz vibe. If you've ever watched Return to Oz from the 80s, has like kind of a steampunk horror creepy vibe. I like it. I like it a lot. Also, mutton and peas, hell yeah. Stew, yes. 8 pounds of bread, that's a lot of carbs, y'all. It's like, sorry, Melissa, I gotta go figure out what we're going to do. And I gotta try to transmigrate back home. I really, 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 really cannot emphasize enough how beautiful the animation is. I really love like all the shadows, all the shading, all the animation. I love like the choreography of the movements of the characters and the way that the camera tracking like through the town works. It all looks great. It looks wonderful. So he gets the bread. We have Iron Cross Street in Tengen City, Low-End Kingdom. I love the look of it. He says, other than the Crimson Moon, it would be like a parallel Earth. So then we have this concept where he sees they're playing a game, and he's like, oh, this is like a game we play back at home. And what does he say here? He was talking about how fighting the landlord, that game exists in this world as well. The one thing I don't know is if this entire story is like a book, because in the other transmigration Donghua that I have watched, the character got transmigrated into a book he was reading. So I don't know if our character Zhou has been transmigrated into this book and thus knows that it's a parallel world. He's like, I think it was 100 years ago when the Intis Emperor. Okay, and then we have, we're going to put Leonard here. Leonard with his poetry. He could read me, Russell, poetry anytime he wishes. Russell Gustav invented it. Funny. The moment we saw him with them ruffly sleeves, that damn long hair, green eyes, and this black cat sitting next to him, I was like, I am sold. I want to see more of him. That's right. He invented tarot divination and the steam engine. Interesting. Well, maybe these are aspects of the book because they're all connected. I mean, that's something an author would do. They would have connecting elements like, I'm going to connect all this world building stuff specifically to one person. Also, divination and tarot cards seem like they're a big part of this. So, I'm curiouser and curiouser. And he said, as well as improving the sailing boat and promoting the Spring Festival tradition. Well, there's lots of boats in here too, boats and hoes. That would check out as well. Awesome. So what does he say here? If we followed novel logic, then could Emperor Razel Gustav have been a transmigrator? Maybe. You would think could be. We don't know. Or maybe a fellow countryman. Okay, so then we see this freaky clown. Nope. Absolutely not, y'all. Nope. Romania does not do clowns. I'm gonna be honest, like It does not scare me. Stephen King's It, Pennywise doesn't scare me because I liked Tim Curry growing up, so I watched the 1980s miniseries, and I know it's not scary. That clown is scary. That clown is reminding me of like stories you tell each other in the dark, like that series, or scary stories you tell each other in the dark. No. So then he hands him the flyer about a circus performance tonight at 7 o'clock. I don't trust this man at all. We await your presence. I feel like it's gonna come back to this. We're gonna come back to this damn clown. No. And then he's like, oh, he's gone. Or nope, he's like, praise the goddess, bye. But then he's like, I need to get away from this area because that guy was kind of creepy. And then he goes past Leonard, who follows him. I like that it's like a cat and mouse chase, and it's actually reflected through the actual cat and mouse. So then he stumbles into a tarot card reading where this girl who's the animal trainer was pretending to be a tarot card reader, but I felt like a ghost scenario was happening where Whoopi Goldberg has the actual divination powers. Nobody believes her, but she actually has the gift. This girl seems like she has the gift, and she's wearing clown makeup similar to the clown, so maybe we'll see her in a future episode. I found it fascinating that she asked which one he wanted to see the past, present, or future. I also like how he kind of tricked her into doing it for free. And he asks for the present, which, that is a pretty smart thing to do because one, he's been reading the diary. So he kind of already knows his past as, Klein, and future. I feel like Zhou is realistic enough to not maybe trust the future. So you'd like to know like, okay, well, I will influence the future for myself by knowing my own present. So she's like, okay, Mr. Free. Also, is she, I wanted to get a closer look on her. Was she the one that was working with Dunn, or is she just a different character altogether? I think she's a different character altogether because her eyes are brown. And I think the other woman who's with Dunn her eyes are blue. So yeah. So she says we have the tarot card, the Fool. Okay. So she flips it over, and yep, we have the Fool. So I want to look up some tarot card meanings, because we had 3 in this episode. Tarot card meanings. We had the Hanged Man, which is a popular one, Justice, and then, here we go. So this is from Labyrinthos. The Tarot Cards Meaning List, a guide to all 78 cards. Ooh, Major Arcana, the Fool's Journey. Okay, come on now. The Major Arcana is a 22 card set. 22 cards, 22 pathways. Yes. Okay, so we're looking at tarot cards. There are 22 pathways through the 9 sequences. The 22 pathways are the 22 card set of tarot cards. Yes. Awesome. Cool. All the deck is filled with an archetypal significance, but this is the most pronounced within the Major Arcana. These cards follow a storyline that tells of the spiritual travels taken from the innocent wonder of the fool to the oneness and fulfillment of the world. In other words, these cards tell the story of humanity's spiritual evolution into enlightenment and individuation. Well, I mean, that seems very similar to what is happening in this story. So, because it's all about, getting these divine powers. All right. And so we follow the journey of the Fool, as we can see common parallels between our own stages in life and these cards, each card teaching a specific lesson and a concept to meditate over. Because they form the basis of the tarot, some readings can sometimes be conducted with only the Major Arcana as well. Okay, so we have 22 cards here. We have the Fool, the Magician, the High Priestess, the Empress, the Emperor, the Hierophant, the Lovers, the Chariot, Strength, the Hermit, the Wheel of Fortune, Justice, the Hanged Man, Death, Temperance, the Devil, the Tower. I've seen the tarot card for the Tower. The Star, the Moon, the Sun, Judgment, and the World. Interesting. Okay, so we have the Fool is the first one that we have. The Fool, beginnings, freedom, innocence, originality, adventure, idealism, and spontaneity. Love it. Reversed keywords are reckless, careless, distracted, naive, foolish, gullible, stale, and dull. So it's kind of like each card reveals like what the strengths of them are, but also the weaknesses at the same time, which kind of match up to Jo in this just a little bit. The Fool depicts a youth walking joyfully into the world. He is taking his first steps, and he is exuberant, joyful, and excited. He carries nothing with him except a small sack, carrying nothing for the possible dangers that lie in his path. Indeed, he is soon to encounter the first of these possible dangers, for if he takes just one more step, he would topple over the cliff that he is reaching. But that doesn't seem to concern him. We are unsure whether he is just naive or simply unaware. The dog at his heels barks at him in warning, and if he does not become more aware of his surroundings soon, he may never see all the adventures that he dreams of encountering. Interesting. Okay, there's a whole lot of meaning here, so let's go through this. The upright Fool meaning. So that's the upright Fool, as we can see here, and there's the dog in the corner that's there. The Fool card is numbered 0, which is considered to be the number of infinite potential. Perfect for this starting episode. Consider him a blank slate, for the Fool has yet to develop a clear personality. He is a symbol of innocence. His journey to come will shape his character yet. To see the Fool generally means a beginning of a new journey, where you will be filled with optimism and freedom from the usual constraints in life. When we meet him, he approaches each day as an adventure in an almost childish way. He believes anything can happen in life, and there are many opportunities that are lying out there in the world, waiting to be explored and developed. I mean, this is basically this opening episode, right? Sure, yes. So the upright, there's different things about upright: love, finance, career. We're not going to get into those. We're just going to look at, and we don't want to get into the reversed either. We just want the basic meanings for now, but love that. So, okay, we're going to get to the other ones here in a little bit. But with the Fool, she says the Fool, the 0 card of the tarot, a fresh beginning with all kinds of possibilities. So then the one girl comes back in. Leonard's waiting for him, and he leaves and is kind of followed by Leonard. But then we had the 7... God, there's so much information in this episode. The 7 Orthodox gods of the Northern Continent. Okay. So our 7 gods, I need to have more space. Our 7 gods are the Lord of Storms, which is the eternal blazing sun. There is the god of wisdom and knowledge. There is the Evernight goddess, the Earth Mother. Okay, so the Earth Mother is the one we need to make note of, the Evernight goddess. She's the one who's Dunn is working for, as well as Dunn's partner. Then there's the god of combat, the god of steam, and machinery are the 7 orthodox gods recognized by the various countries across the northern continent during the 5th epoch. Their forms are not known, and they are represented only by symbols. Okay, so we have so these are all different. Blazing sun, storms, wisdom and knowledge, Evernight goddess, the Earth Mother, god of combat, and god of steam. Okay, so the Evernight goddess is the only one we really see yet. She's the one that, and we don't even see her, we just get 2 of her, like, lackeys. Supposedly. We'll get more into that. Okay. So much, man. All right. So, the celestial worthy of heaven. He tries to do the ritual again. So he tries to do the ritual to get back home. But unfortunately for him, it does not take him back home. Instead, it takes him to this other world that seems like this, basically limbo. It seems like purgatory. The whole thing seems like purgatory is where he's at. So he's taken to this special, like, dimension. This separate from the world that Klein is in. And we see this girl that is in the name of the Hall family. She's the one that's Justice. And then in the name of the Hall family, I command you to awaken. And she has this broken mirror. And then meanwhile, this guy on this ship has this, like, this glass that's turning to ice. And he has blue light, she has red light. And it takes them both to this location. So it seems like the glass that he had and the mirror that she had were objects that were somehow connected to one another. Like maybe they're from the same treasure trove. Maybe they belonged to the same person originally. But they both became in possession of them. They both used them and ended up in this mysterious purgatory dimension. And meanwhile, Zhou is like, I don't know what to do here. And they can barely see each other because of the fog. So he decides, they're like, is this a divine realm? And Zhou's like, I don't know. Zhou's like, how could this be a divine realm? Which I don't blame her for thinking that, because if I showed up at a place like this, I'd be like, is this heaven? Is this purgatory? Are we in another dimension or plane of existence? What's going on? I'd be asking questions like this. So Zhou gets the idea that he's like, he realizes that in this world, he can manipulate. He's like, is this what we call the law that follows the world and materialization? So he realizes that he can manipulate and materialize what he wants. Somehow he can do that. And he's like, okay, I'm going to take advantage of this moment, try to figure out what's going on, and I'm going to pretend to be the lord of this realm. So he's like, I'll just be called the fool. And they think he's like they think he's a beyonder and a divine god. They're like, oh, this the fool, okay. So now the one part that I am very curious about is the fact that he changes his voice to instantly become this deep-voiced man. Which I guess that's his manipulation of the environment, but I think that's so interesting. And he creates this persona. He's like, am I Zhou Mingri? Am I Klein? Or am I this mixture as the fool? I like that he kind of just creates this persona where he knows what's going on, even though we, the audience, know that he does not. That's pretty bold. It's pretty ballsy of him, but it seems to work. And these two think that they've been tested and chosen, right? And so he's like, if you make a formal request, he's like, the other sounds calm and cautious, so I need to figure out what kind of people they are. Meanwhile, this girl from the Hall family, she's been having like Belle moments from Beauty and the Beast, where she's wanted to get out of her provincial town and had all these, mysterious supernatural experiences. What can I do to become a beyonder? And I like that Zhou's like, I don't know what a beyonder is. He's like, we'll get the guy over there to say what it is. He can answer the question, and this guy's like, oh, wow, really? The lady across from me has the manner of speech of a low-end noble. Okay, so she's from the same world that Klein is from. Okay. So while I'm far away by the Sonia Sea. So he was not near where they were at. Interesting. How did the fool manifest this? So, to become a Beyonder, you have to join the organization of the Evernight Goddess. So if you want to be a Beyonder, you got to do that, which is what our boy Joe is doing by the end of this episode. Funny how that works out. Though the majority of us will not meet a Beyonder once in our entire lives. Also, I cannot get over Joe doing the Gendo pose. I cannot get over him doing the Gendo pose. It's so fitting, though, because he doesn't really know what he's doing. He's just making it up as he goes. It's perfect for that. Yeah, it is indisputable that they exist. The fight against dangers grow in the dark. Okay, interesting that we see Dunn in that. Because isn't that Dunn? Yeah. So is that like a preview that Dunn was, you know, a Beyonder that is working for the Evernight Goddess and that he was tracking all of this? Or is he a villain that we just don't really fully know is the villain yet? He's like, I don't want to lose my freedom. Then you can only seek royal families or the noble families over a millennium old. She's like, oh, there's no other options? She's like, so I can't... So basically, the girl from the Hall family wants to become a Beyonder. The guy from the Sonia Sea is like, that's really hard, and not many people can do that. And plus, they lead a very dangerous life, fighting an enemy that we don't really know a lot about. So you probably should just, you know, stick to your family and your privilege and don't worry about it. And then he's like, 2 sets of sequence 9 potion formulas. Okay, so apparently... We've talked about how sequence 9 is the weakest starting point of the 22 pathways to divinity. So apparently there are 2 sets of potion formulas. I wonder if those 2 sets are connected to Naya and Welch somehow. And he's like, really? Which 2 sets? He says one is named Sailor and the other is Spectator. So Sailor and Spectator. Interesting. I don't know. We just get like brief hints about all this right now. You'll have acute powers of observation and will be able to judge actors in the secular world. Okay. So basically you would have supernatural abilities if you take either of these potions. I wonder if Naya and Welsh tried to get their hands on them and then it backfired. Maybe we'll find out. Oh, well, but it says, okay. But then he said, what did he say about those 2? He said that you'll have acute powers of observation and be able to judge actors in the secular world. I wonder if Dunn and that woman have these powers. If they've taken 2 of the formulas, the Sailor and the Spectator. I don't know. Because the Sailor, when she uses her power of, you know, her power to have observation, it seems like her hair and stuff becomes like really fluid like water, which could be like related to the Sailor. Maybe. Are they also some Beyonder power? Where he is. And so she's like, hey, you know, can we keep meeting here again? Can we have more gatherings so we could talk about these sort of things? And meanwhile, the guy on the Sonia Sea is like, yeah, this place is pretty incredible. I wouldn't mind coming back here and meeting with you all. And Joe is like, hey, I need to gather as much information as I can. So meeting with you all sounds like a pretty sweet deal. And plus, what else do you all have going on? So yeah, he just schedules tea time with them. He's like, I could expose myself if we keep doing it, but the more contact I have, I could find a way home. So he's like, we'll meet every Monday at 3 in the afternoon. What a random thing. So we're going to meet Mondays at 3. That is wild. He's like, just in time for tea. So they're all down for it. Should we give ourselves code names? And he's like, yes. And just as the police are starting to show up, which is dragging him back to Klein's world, she's like, since Mr. Fool's name is derived from the tarot, she's like, I'll be Justice. And he's like, I'll be the Hanged Man. That makes us the founding members of the Tarot Club. So now we've started a Tarot Club. We're getting everybody involved in the Tarot Club. Are we going to meet like 19 other members? He's like, I heard initially Emperor Zell made a different deck of tarot cards that, okay, has seen the blasphemy state. Oh, which contains the profound mysteries of the 22 paths of the divine. See, all this is connected. And he's like, we're going to end this gathering here. And so then they get transported back to where they were before, and he wakes up on the floor, hides the gun, and that's when Leonard and Dunn come in. Okay, so I want to go back to, as I'm kicking this ball away, I want to go back to Justice, and I want to open up the Hanged Man. And we're not going to read the whole cards, but I want to go look at them. So Justice, the upright key terms are justice, karma, consequence, accountability, law, truth, honest, integrity, cause, and effect. That kind of checks out for her. She seems pretty like straightforward, and she seems like she's pretty, she's not trying to hide anything. She's very innocent, right? The reversed keywords are retribution, dishonesty, corruption, dishonesty, unfairness, whatever. So it says, the Justice Tarot card is a symbol of truth, fairness, and law. As she sits in her chair, the scales in her left hand represent how intuition should balance logic. She symbolizes impartiality with the double-edged sword in her right hand. The clarity and thought, which is required to dispense justice, are symbolized by the square on the crown she wears. Behind her, there is a purple cloak and standing gray pillars. Beneath her red cloak, which is held together by a clasp, she shows the tip of a white shoe. This is a spiritual reminder that what she delivers are the outcomes of their actions. Seems pretty straightforward, right? So it says the decisions you make now have long-term effects on all things, both for yourself and others. There will always come a time where you will be judged. The Justice Tarot card appears in a reading signal that a judgment will be made fairly and accordingly. The decisions that you have made in the past will be carefully weighed with fairness. Your feelings around this card may differ depending on your situation. If you have been wronged, this card's appearance may bring you relief. On the other hand, if your actions caused pain to others, this card serves as a warning. Her appearance represents a chance for you to change your actions now for a better future. When a tarot card reading shows the figure of justice, it is time to account for your actions. Interesting. Another meaning is truth. Truth must come to pass, and this cannot be found from the mouths and gossip of others. Instead, it's based on facts. Learn the truth about others and yourself. Speak and know the truth before passing a judgment. During a reading, you will see the Justice Tarot card. You need to be fair in your deeds. By following right procedure, you'll learn the truth. You will understand what your tasks are. It's also a symbol that attention is needed. It could be about your life, career, or an important decision you need to make. If you've been unsure about something, it's time to get a solution once and for all. I think that her being Justice is kind of important for this episode because he's trying to find out what exactly is going on and get down to the truth of everything. But also, at the same time, he is also trying to, it makes me feel like we can trust when her character's in the midst of everything. She seems like she's trustworthy, even if she's a little bit naive. So that does make me pretty excited to see her character in the future. She doesn't seem like somebody we need to worry about, right? Then there's the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man is about sacrifice, waiting, uncertainty, lack of direction, perspective, and contemplation. In this card, it depicts a man who is suspended upside down, hanging by his foot from the living world tree. The tree is rooted deep down in the underworld, and it is known to support the heavens. It is believed the hanging man is actually positioned there by his own free will. We believe this because of the serene expression on his face. His right foot is bound to the branches, but his left foot remains perfectly free. At the same time, he is holding his hands behind his back in a way which forms an inverted triangle. He's wearing a red pant that represents physical body and human's passion, while the blue he wears in his shirt, he's got the blue on him, represents his calm emotions, a color combination commonly seen in saints. His intellect is symbolized by the yellow color of his shoes, hair, and the halo. So the Hanged Man understands his position as a sacrifice that he needed to make in order to progress forward, whether as repentance for past wrongdoings or a calculated step backward to recalculate his own path onward. This time he spends here will not be wasted. He does this as part of his progression forward. His upside down state can also symbolize the feeling of those that walk a spiritual path, for they see the world differently. Where there are others that do not understand the need of sacrifice, you see it differently. This is a natural course of action for you as you walk the path alone. This is very fascinating for him. And for knowing not a lot about him, I now want to know, like, why did he pick this card? Why does he view himself this way? Does he view himself like the card? What does this mean? It says it reflects a particular need to suspend certain action. As a result, this might indicate a certain period of indecision. This means that certain actions or decisions which need to be properly implemented are likely to be postponed, even if there is an urgency to act at this particular moment. In fact, it would be ultimately best if you are capable of stalling certain actions to ensure that you have more time to reflect on making critical decisions. This would ultimately be the best. This is towards waiting and suspension. It might be the thing you need to do in order to achieve success. Keep in mind, taking action is not always the best solution, and in certain cases, refraining from doing so might bring you just as much, if not more, benefits. To me, that represents this man's caution and how he's going to be very careful around Joe. So I'm so excited and fascinated to see where this goes. Okay, cool. Interesting. But yes. So yeah. So then we have Leonard Mitchell from the police. Hello. He looks like Wei Wuxian. Wei Wuxian's cousin. Wei Wuxian's cousin. Yes. He's like, why can't I have been protecting you? He's so flirty. I don't know. I don't believe this is a Don Mai, so I don't believe it is. But he's very flirty. I'm interested to see more of him. And our boy Klein, aka Joe, is not amused. So then Dunn comes in, and look, I'm a sucker for a light-haired character, and Dunn is fitting the brief. He's giving me Nanami vibes. I'm getting that. So yeah, Dunn Smith, he's giving me Irwin vibes. Maybe it's the Smith name. But he also has this red tinge to his eyes because he's working with the goddess. Also, R.I.P. that fish. The cat's eating good tonight. So they basically talk about, he's like, they all look possessed and like, what strange things. So yeah, he shows them the pictures and everything. And he's like, everyone will die, including me. So he confesses everything to them and tells them what happened with him. And they're like, usually we investigate a case like this and everyone's dead. But in your case, we don't have to worry about that. So Joe is afraid that when he goes to see the psychic friend that he ends up meeting at the end of this episode, he is afraid that the psychic friend will find out that he's a transmigrator from Earth and it will complicate things, and then it possibly might hinder his ability to go back home. So he tries to escape, which gets him so far, but then time and space gets frozen, and we figure out that, Dunn's got some abilities. Which, what a wild sequence to have everything frozen, and then Dunn, like, the whole world just goes upside down. Absolutely crazy. And he's like, when did I fall asleep? And then he's standing right there waiting for him. That's horror movie level stuff. I don't like that at all. Mm-mm. So yeah, allow me to reintroduce myself. The Evernight Goddess, Nighthawk. So he's working for the Evernight Goddess. Actually, they both are. He's like a beyonder, and he's like, was he manipulating my dream? In the dark of night, we are more powerful than you can possibly imagine. That is so crazy! What a wild shot against the red moon. Oh, that's wild. So Leonard and his friend are working for the Evernight Goddess. They are beyonders. What about Leonard? Is Leonard a beyonder? I don't know. And so then she shows up with the water. Yeah, I wonder if it's like the sailor and the spectator. Maybe. Also, girl, you could find a different way to say that to him. There's a lot of sexual innuendo with what she was saying. Yeah, that open you right up. Nope, don't like that. She prefers corpses over men. So she's a necromancer. Well, at least there's that. So she tries to pry into his memories. They're trying to find this book. They're trying to find this book that could cause a lot of trouble. And so they're trying to pick through his memories to find it. But she's having trouble locating those memories. What did you do with the notebook? On the 27th of June, the day you didn't write about what happened in the home. When they died, what were you doing? And he doesn't remember. He knows he has the gun. He knows he shot himself, but he doesn't remember anything else. She's like, he attempted suicide via a gunshot, but it's clear he still lives. As for, they're just like Welch and Naya's soul. No trace remains. I love that her hair goes back up as she gets done using her powers. Whenever she had her hair like all wrapped around him, I thought of like Baba in Spirited Away, where she's like, what did you do with my baby? Like, the animation was so good. Where is my baby? It's one of my favorite scenes in that whole movie. I fear whatever power was able to affect him. So yeah, Daily Simone. I'm just going to call her Simone because I like Simone. It's a pretty name. So yeah, Simone is also a Nighthawk. I kind of want to ship Dunn and Simone. Is that wrong? I kind of want to ship them a little bit. Something so troublesome. So she's frustrated because normally she can pick people's brains and see what their memories are, but he is a special case because of what's been happening with the transmigration and because of whatever they were doing on the 27th, it's affected things. So she's like, I can't get his memories. This is very troublesome. And so Dunn's like, look, we need to find this notebook. Somebody is still threatening your life. We're not your babysitters, but we can't always protect you. So, if you don't want to, be in too much danger, you could become a Beyonder along with us. Could do that, right? Also, this eyeball with the tree and stuff inside is super creepy. Not sure how I feel about that. Yeah, so we've got all this stuff here. And then it's like the idea of the transmigration. And then, okay, I like this. I like the words in the text here. Interesting. And there's like a ring involved and all of this. This feels like his world here. And yeah, the clown. I'm so curious. This is going to be interesting. Okay, so yeah. So our boy Joe has been offered the opportunity to become a Beyonder. Whether he takes that or not, we're going to find out next episode, I'm assuming. We've met Simone and Dunn. Leonard is also working with them. We're trying to figure out about this notebook that is ancient and possibly has terrifying powers we need to get a hold of and to figure out the reasons why Naya and Welch died. Meanwhile, our dear boy Joe also has a side hustle where he's pretending to be the fool and trying to get information about the Beyonders world from randos that he's just picked up off of their, off the streets, right? That think he's already a Beyonder when he's not yet. So, yeah. Easy, right? Easy opening episode. I've only talked about it for an hour. So easy. So easy to understand so far, right? I'm very excited to see where this series goes. If you all suggest that I read in my own time some of the text, I can, or I can wait until later on and then start reading. We can do that too. But I'm very excited to see what happens in this series. And I'm also very excited that my brain will get a little bit of a break. I might watch it in the English dub on my off time to catch back up. Might do that. That might help too. So anyway. I'm very excited to hear your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed this reaction and discussion, please let me know down below. Please like this video. Subscribe to me, and every other Saturday we will be looking at a new Lord of the Mysteries until I'm caught up with season 1, and then I'll watch the OVAs because they'll be out by then. So that'll be exciting. But yeah, next week the mods will have me some chibi series, some other things to watch. They've got it all organized, so don't you worry. But in any case, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I will be back very soon, and I hope you all will join me in checking out and dissecting the Lord of the Mysteries. Bye!